How did you come to be involved in politics? Was that a given? Do you come from a long line of politicos, or did you break some new ground?
It's interesting when you asked that I come from a long line of politicos. In a way I did, but not formalized or organized politics. My mother had opinions, and she talked about them all the time, and not in a very sophisticated way, but she knew what was going on, and she knew who her local elected officials were. We were poor, so she talked about who was good and who was bad, and who was helpful, and what they stood for, and how they treated the people. And she talked about presidential candidates. I'll never forget, my mother was basically a Democrat, but she supported Eisenhower. And why did she do that? He was going to bring our boys home from war. I mean, she talked about these things. And so, it was a part of kind of the conversations that went on with her girlfriends and with us, but it was not about, voter suppression, even voter registration, as we talk about it now. She was a voter, she always voted, but never a lot of talk about other people, who perhaps did not vote.
And so what was your big break in getting into politics? Because, someone can want to be involved in politics, but to run, to win, to become a member of Congress, to become chair of arguably one of the 2 or 3 most important committees rarely happens. As you look back over it, what was your big break? What did you do right that allowed you to end up on that unusual path?
One of the defining moments in my life was the war on poverty that was started by the federal government. And that war on poverty created any number of programs, including Head Start. And they had programs where they worked with elected officials and helped to place young people as interns in their office. So we wanted to get into Head Start. And I applied and I got hired. And when I did that, I went back to school and I worked and went to school at the same time and got my undergraduate degree. And in doing all of this, I moved up in Head Start and I became the supervisor of volunteers and parents. And I helped to develop parent programs. And I helped to help parents get in touch with being in control of their children's destiny, going up to the schools, getting involved in PTAs and all of that. And that brought me in contact with a lot more people and with politicians. And I began to understand the difference in politicians. And so I started to volunteer in political campaigns. And in doing this, the women's movement was really getting started. And you were hearing about women running for office. And so we got together and we went to then, I think it was the Secretary of State, who was a woman at the time in the state of California. And she was able to force the election to be opened up for 5 more days. And I registered for that election. And in those 5 days that we did it, we were working against organized labor. We were working against the business community. We were working against men for the most part. But that's how we did it. A group of women just had the belief that we could do it, despite the fact that we were not really well connected. And even the elected official that I went to work for was not really, believing that we could do it. Tom Bradley was the mayor at the time. He did not support me, but I got his wife, Ethel Bradley, to support me. And so we put it together and we made it work. And that's how I became an elected official.
Hey, tune into the Carlos Watson Show. It's like no other. You're going to enjoy it every weekday on YouTube.